Thanks so much. Let's now turn back to peacebuilding, and here's an interesting question. How does Catholicism inform CRS's position on the trial and punishment of perpetrators of human rights violations? So, and if you're not sure particularly to CRS, but just in general to the NGOs you've worked in, but how would you say is it the Catholic Church's teachings would inform the position on trial and punishment of perpetrators?
I think that the Catholic Church's position is closer to restorative justice. There is a difference between the crime and the criminal. Now, if we want to push our human dignity arguments to its logical conclusion, then even the worst criminal on earth has a dignity that must be respected. You can commit the most atrocious rights, but that doesn't a violation of human rights, but that doesn't turn you into an animal. You still are a human being with dignity and also with rights. So we often argue that even the criminal has rights and obligations. So the challenge is, how do you repair the damage? That's the first. How do you repair the damage? How do you repair the broken relationships? By condemning the fellow and locking him up for the rest of his life, will that solve the problem? I don't think so. By killing the fellow, will that solve the problem? I do not think so. So I think that what has informed the church's concept of justice is the dignity of the human person and the inalienable rights of the human person. Of course, people commit terrible crimes, but that doesn't make them animals. Now, this said and done, the question then is, what do we do in a situation like this? First of all, the best is if we can prevent the situation. But in the event that we cannot prevent the situation, one of the things I have come to be convinced about in this work, in the 6 years that I've been working in this field, is that the people who are most hurt have the highest capacity for forgiveness. And that is why many people, their minds are just blown when they see the Ugandans saying, forgive Joseph Kony, forgive Joseph Kony. And you see that resonating almost across board. There are people who have suffered a lot, they have the capacity to forgive. So basically, the Catholic Church's teaching is about reconciliation, it's about forgiveness. How do you build up this person who has kind of dehumanized himself and dehumanize others? How do you rehumanize the person, and how do you rehumanize the criminals? Because some of these people who commit these serious crimes, when you follow into the early childhood and background, you see that certain crimes have also been committed against them. Of course, it in no way justifies the level, but the Catholic Church's position is, when you talk about justice, you are talking about rebuilding, you are talking about reconnecting. Now, in a situation like Uganda, what do you do? And for me, the question is simple. Imagine your brother is taken away from you and in the middle of the night. You have no control. He's committed all kinds of atrocious crimes. 5 years later, he's returned to the family. Is he your brother or not? Thank you. So what I was saying is that people want to have their life back. And then once they are able to live a normal life, then they can begin to build the systems and structures. I always give the example of Ghana. After the Rawlings era, we had a lot of problems, and it was very difficult to. It's transmitting. Let me see. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here. Okay, good. So, shortly after the Rawlings Revolution, when a democratically elected government came to power, there were a lot of human rights abuses. But at that time, Ghana did not have the capacity to deal with these issues. It took the country 15 years of democracy before they could start a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So just to let you see that when you have people commit crimes to this level, it's not very easy just to begin to bring about that kind of retributive justice. Well, number one, if you punish, you lock up the people, what do you achieve? Number two, the system may not be solid enough. You try to bring them to justice and you create more confusion. When the order came that Charles Taylor should be arrested, the very day the order came, it was announced in BBC. You know how many people lost their lives in Liberia just because of this one announcement? So we are not saying that justice should be denied. No, we are saying that delay the system a bit. In this case, this is the one case where justice delayed is not justice denied. You allow the country to rebuild and to support itself so that it can then hold its people to task and get them. It can take a long time, but eventually they have to be brought to book. Also, it may also allow the traditional systems to operate because, for instance, we have a saying in my language that if your leg steps on something foul, you don't chop the leg off, you wash off the dirt. And so the communities themselves, once they begin to pick up again, can have their own way of reintegrating. And if you look in Uganda, they have all kinds of ceremonies and rituals that they perform so that they can reintegrate, because we believe that as a human race, we are one family, and you cannot, no matter what crimes the other has committed, you cannot just kick the fellow out. And this explains why we have, sometimes it looks like people are advocating that the criminals should just be let off the hook without any punishment. Number one, we are talking about not just punishing them for their crimes, but seeing how we can restore relationship, heal the people who have been traumatized and wounded, and also the people who have committed the atrocities. They themselves, they need healing. And secondly, in the event that we are bringing them to justice to account for their deeds for which they must, then we need a robust system that can help them accountable without the country disintegrating into violence again.